Okay. Looks like we're on the air, and it is 8:31 by my computer. So I will call the February 1st, 2023 Environment and Land Use Committee meeting to order. Roll call, Callan Nelson,
Randy Severson.
Stacy Klein.
David Larson.
Tony Munson.
our virtual friends.
Don Waldera.
Andy Todd.
Mark,
Carlson.
Bruce Gamra, Department of Land Management.
Mike Kornman, Director.
okay. I certify that open meeting law requirements have been met with proper posting. We have a 15-item agenda. Entertain a move to adopt. Okay. Need a second. Second by Klein. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from December 7th?
They actually should read January 4th.
Oh, yeah, January 4th, you're right. Yeah.
Yes, I make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion approved by Waldera.
Second.
Second by Klein. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So I think we'll go right into Dwayne Snowball with USDA APHIS Wildlife and Damage and Claims Program update.
So can everybody hear me okay, or does it be a green light here?
Nope, you're good. Red's good.
Red's good? Okay, everybody hear me okay? Good morning. Good morning to everybody. This is the time of year that we have to go through on the damage program. After we appraise all the claims in the fall there, we have to go over the claims, and the committee needs to review and approve them. Before we can do that, on the agenda, the first thing is what's called a shooting permit harvest exemption consideration. It says if needed, well, we do have to have one. Charlotte Nelson, when permits are issued, there's quotas that come with these permits. So there's different types of permits. There's a standard permit for somebody new, and that's a 50% in the first 45 days and 80% by the end of the year. And if they have a claim, if they miss, then even by one deer, we have to, wildlife service has to come to the committee and we discuss it. I've already discussed it with DNR Wildlife Management, and then decide if an exemption is warranted. Okay. In this case, the other type of permit is a WM40 permit. Those permits are for farmers who exceeded $1,000 in the previous year, and that quota is 80% by September 15th. Again, even if they miss by one deer, we have to get an exemption to get their claim approved. Okay, so in Charlotte's case, she's under a WM40 permit. It was issued on January 20th. DNR determined 15 tags. The quota 80% by September 15th was 12 deer. Charlotte filled 10 tags, missed a quota by 2 deer. They did shoot a total of filled 14 deer. The other harvest dates were October 8th, 1 deer, October 9th, 1 deer, and then 2 deer on November 27th. Charlotte did talk to DNR early on that she was having trouble finding hunters, and then after reviewing her shooting permit materials, which is the logs and stuff like that, and talking with Ms. Nelson, DNR and Wildlife Service agreed that a shooting permit harvest exemption is warranted, and that would be our recommendation to the committee that they granted the exemption. Is there any questions on that?
Any questions for Dwayne on the snowball, or on the exemption?
If not, then we need a motion to grant.
I'll make a motion to grant the exemption.
Okay, motion by Severson, second by Larson. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the exemption, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, the claims review.
Okay, there was, as it was the case last year, there was 3 claims. Charlotte Nelson, we just talked about. Praised corn and soybeans for Charlotte. That farm has always had high damage claims. Last year it was about 9,300. Price increases, crop price increases and stuff account for some, and then deer number increases. This year it was 14,000, a little over 14,000. That would make a maximum payable claim of 10,000. That's the cap for the program. And again, that was corn and soybeans. Ted Ravnum was corn and soybeans. Last year his claim was around a little over $1,500 appraised loss. This year, a little over $3,200. And then Greg Tollefson was corn and hay, and his claim was just under $9,900 with a payable of $85,3406. Last year, his was around $4,800. Based on increased crop prices and more deer in the landscape, in the 4 counties I cover, everybody's claim has went up, which is understandable. Are there any questions on those any of the committee members would have?
Any questions on those? I think you explained it pretty well, personally.
Okay. If not,
And
then
we need
another
a motion
motion.
to approve.
Yeah, and then Kel and I'll have you sign stuff at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, sounds good. So I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Klein,
Second.
second by Waldera. All in favor of approving these losses or claims, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And so, deer donation update.
So I just got the invoice or the information yesterday. Normally I list it out, but everything's kind of lagging here. They have till February 7th to actually get the last invoice in. I'm assuming this would be the last one for bushies, and that's the only processor in Trempealeau County. 83 deer were donated. It come up to just over 3,000 pounds, which averaged about 36.5 pounds per deer donated, which is pretty good. The adult-sized deer, normal adult-sized deer, is about 40 pounds. Fawns and stuff, you're talking 15 to 20 pounds. Generally, the processors do a really good job, ranging from this thing up to 50, 55 pounds, some average. As far as whether this is a final number, I don't know. Budgetary-wise, I was just talking to Haley, and we budgeted $8,000 last year, but then that was at $80 a deer, and DNR increased the reimbursement to $100. So I'm going to see if they're willing to move money around. Otherwise, March I'll come in with a budget amendment
Okay.
to increase that. And again, that's just DNR funds, and it just goes for processing. So we're about 300 over right now, assuming no more deer donated. But if I come in, because I don't know when the meeting will be in March, but there's a potential, we'd probably come in with 2,000, a budget amendment with 2,000 if that's what the state wants us to do. That way we know we have enough. It can't be spent on anything else but deer donation.
Sure.
So, okay?
Okay.
But I'll take care of that and work with Haley on that.
FYI,
We're looking at a March 8th meeting date.
March
which is-
8th, okay.
Which is a little different than normal.
Okay.
I guess, is there a question? I thought I heard someone say something, but I had read where Bushies has been sold. Do you know if they're going to continue in the program, the new owners, or?
I did not, that's news to me, Kellen.
Yeah.
We'll look into that
Yeah,
and see.
it'd be good to know
Yeah,
moving forward, so.
I will make a note of that too. No, I did not hear that.
It's the owners of Maple Leaf Meats, I want to say, bought it. So just
Okay.
curious if they're going to stay in the program. I would hope so, but
Yeah.
it's up to them, I guess. Or up, maybe you can talk them into it.
We're trying, it's getting harder and harder both for costs and both for finding labor to do stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's worth checking on.
we will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will do that.
Sounds good.
Okay. Then the only other thing I have is, DNR requested myself to be at a meeting. There's a landowner issue, a person bought some land near a farm that's participating in the program about 3 years ago. It's near Greg Tollefson. And when he purchased it, he didn't understand that Greg was in the program and using ag tags. And he's fairly upset about that. So DNR Yeah, I've talked to the individual 3 or 4 times. DNR has talked to him, both local and the Brad Cooley, who's the damage program, the damage specialist for DNR. And he requested a meeting, so DNR was going to meet with him and requested Wildlife Service to be there. And so I can provide, specifics on the appraisals and the program and stuff like that and how we enroll them and stuff like that. It's described as kind of a listening session. There may be other landowners there as well. Right now it's scheduled for mid-February. And I guess I'll just keep you guys abreast of how stuff progresses. Right now it's kind of a DNR thing, and we're asked to participate in it with the adjacent landowner.
Is that the land up by Unity, the northern part of Greg's, or is that in the Daggett Coulee part?
Daggett Coulee.
It's in the Daggett Coulee part.
Yeah, no, the Unity stuff is no longer.
Because of the program, it's not in.
Yeah, yeah,
It's in
yeah,
CRP, I think, again.
yeah. So,
Is that what it is?
what's that?
I believe the northern part of Greg's is the butterfly program, I think.
I don't know. There was not a whole lot of damage up there ever, where when I appraised it, when it was that stuff up in
One that you always participate in.
yeah.
All the neighbors were upset then already.
Yeah, so that's not, no, it's the stuff actually, Daggett Cooley, but Dismore Cooley, where his mom lives. So,
Oh, okay.
so I'll just keep you, as it progresses, I'll keep you folks updated on it.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Is there any other questions since I've been here last for me?
Has there been any interesting wildlife activity in the county
Not,
recently?
nothing that
bears?
I've heard of lately. I don't know if there's any elk running around here. You hear them now and again. I haven't heard anything,
Nothing you can confirm?
nothing I can confirm, or people have called where they're at or anything, or an individual's at.
Sure.
In the fall, they go back over and, for the breeding season there, and then depends on when they disperse out. There's a few that don't go back.
Sure.
But I don't, at times there's been stuff north of Whitehall, down by Arcadia and stuff like that. But I have no knowledge of anything right now,
Okay.
so.
Okay, any other questions?
Just a little off the wall. Does the squirrel population have a cycle like rabbits, or not? If they do, I've never heard of it before. Rabbits are, what do they call, a 7-year cycle up and down, or so?
Yeah, and that's a snowshoe cycle.
Yep.
Cottontails, I don't know that that's necessarily true, Dave. As far as cottontails, I don't think, if you see up and down, it's more likely they got too high in
Something, yeah.
disease or something that knocked it back down.
I'm curious with the squirrel population, because the last 2 years, in my hunting experience, I've seen way less squirrels than ever before. And I'm just curious if is there something, we've noticed considerably more sightings of fishers. Do they have lunch on squirrels?
Certainly could. They're arboreal, and they could certainly do that. If you're seeing more fisher in there, they might be successfully doing that. Is there a mast failure or something like that? I'm aware of no cycle with squirrels.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I got to get Kellen's signatures. So.
Sure. Okay, if there's nothing else for Dwayne, we will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our public hearing. We're gonna sign something for, that way you don't have to hang around.
Sign and date above my name there.
Okay.
That's that exemption, so sign and date.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good television, right? Okay, so I will call the public hearing to order at 8:45. The public hearing is for a conditional use permit for a new telecommunications tower on Janice E. Fink with Dale Fink, agent, Arcadia, Wisconsin, landowner. for a cell tower. So I'm going to have Stacy read the public hearing notice.
January 4th, 2023, to all interested parties, you are hereby given notice that the following conditional use permit will be before the Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, February 1st, 2023, at 8:35 a.m. in the County Boardroom of the Courthouse, 36245 Main Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin. The hearing requested by United States Cellular Operating Company, LLC, petitioner/operator, Chicago, Illinois, Janice Fink, Dale Fink agent, landowner Arcadia, Wisconsin, is to consider a conditional use permit for a telecommunications tower located in the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter, section 33, I never remember what that is, T19 North, range 9W, in the town of Trempealeau County, Wisconsin, with the parcel listed. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Mark Carlson with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1919 or email at mark.carlson@co.trempealeau.wi.us. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comment to Department of Land Management, P.O. Box 67, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to mark.carlson@co.trempealeau.wi.us. Please know that written comments will be read at the public hearing up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author and the request that the letter be read at a particular meeting date. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Mark Carlson of the Department of Land Management, again at 715-538-1919. Sincerely, Mark Carlson.
Thank you, Stacy. Next, I'd like Mark to give an overview of the statement, or the hearing here.
Well, we did receive the development yesterday in regards to this. We received 2 letters from attorneys in regards to some discrepancy with the property and who has the decision process on what can be happening on the property. So we may have to postpone, any decisions on this hearing. Rick's here to make he kind of informed me of how we should handle this, and they're also here too. But we were just informed of that yesterday with the attorneys, and otherwise, it's kind of a straightforward one with any other hearing. We have had some input on it. We did get input from the town, but there was a late development yesterday with some attorney input, so. And I guess leave it to Rick to put in
Rick, would you
some
like to
additional
shed some light on that for us?
Certainly. Excuse me. So Dale Fink is the power of attorney for Janice Fink, who is the owner of the property. And there is an action that was filed in November of last year that is basically calling into question the decisions that Mr. Fink was making on behalf of Janice. And so there is legal proceedings that are pending. Again, it was filed on November 2nd. There is a status conference with the court, or a scheduling conference tomorrow. So basically what it comes down to is someone is asking the court to review whether or not the decisions being made by the power of attorney are appropriate for Ms. Fink. And so I'm not sure when this particular conditional use permit thing was filed. However, depending on what the court ultimately decides, any decisions made in the meantime could potentially be undone. So I guess it would make a lot of sense from the county's perspective to kind of postpone this until that legal proceeding is done, to make sure that anybody has the proper authorities to make those decisions on her behalf. So I talked with Mark yesterday about starting the public hearing and then postponing it, so that way we don't have to publish notice again for another public hearing, but we can just reconvene it. I'd say you could do it next month, but I don't anticipate that the court proceeding will be done by then. But I would say postpone it to a date certain, and we can kind of go from there. You can certainly put it on monthly, and kind of we can check on the status of the legal proceeding and kind of go from there, whatever the committee wants to do. But postponing it to a date certain would be, in my opinion, the way to go, so you don't have to redo the notice publication.
Okay, seems logical. Mark?
And I did look at it yesterday, and there is another telephone scheduling conference actually tomorrow. So maybe something will come out of that tomorrow, but I guess that might be wishful thinking, but we'll have to see how that turns out, so.
Okay. Looks like we have somebody from,
Yeah, my name is Sean Hempstead.
would you push your, there you go.
I'm sorry. My name is Sean Hempstead. I'm representing U.S. Cellular. And I just wanted to let the board know that we concur with, I apologize, Rick. And do believe this should be tabled so that, all parties, including USA, or also their legal counsel, has a chance to review this as well. So we are in full agreement with this.
Okay, so at this point, I think I'd probably entertain a motion to postpone this, so we don't have to repost the whole hearing. What would be an effective date where you think we could, the case could be final,
Sure.
we'd have. Dave?
Did I understand correctly that if we motion to delay table until the next specific ELU meeting, is that
Is that the best way?
certain
Just-
enough?
Correct.
And then we can do it again then?
Correct, and then you can renew that
As
postponement.
needed.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
And just, I wouldn't anticipate it being resolved in the next month or two, but you never know.
Sure,
So-
fair enough. So I think I had a motion from Andy Todd on there, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we have a motion to postpone this. A second from Larson. Any other discussion?
Just to clarify, we're postponing it to
Next month,
March 8th. Okay, I just want to make sure that was
Yeah,
part of the
March
motion
8th,
as well,
yeah.
too, so.
the next meeting.
As far as other discussion,
Yes,
I just wonder, for my own knowledge, I'm not sure how I would know this without asking, so certainly let me know where I should look for resources for future, but does the county currently have any ordinances regarding the requirements for cell towers and its setbacks and properties and all of that?
Mark.
Yes, we do. We have a chapter in our ordinance, for required setbacks and the requirement of the conditional use. That's what this hearing is for, or what was to be for. And we have a chapter that addresses cell towers in the ordinance.
And where would I find that?
It's in chapter 4 in one of the particular uses. I'd have to look it up specific. I can get that to you. In the zoning ordinance, yeah. It's in the zoning ordinance. And I can find it and send you the specifics on it, so.
Okay, good question. Anything else?
Is this a situation where you still have public comment, or we just postpone that completely?
I'm thinking since we're postponing the hearing, I think we'll postpone the public comment as well. So, we have a motion made and seconded. Call the vote. All in favor of postponing this till March 8th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will take a look at it in March 8th and see what has developed. So we will move on in our agenda into our cost share payment requests. Discussion, possible action. Charmaine, I'm guessing that's why you've graced us.
Yeah, so we do not currently have any cost share payment requests for this meeting.
Good deal. Okay, well, that's a quick item. So County Conservationist report.
So I will start off with our tree and shrub program. So our orders are up by 50%, actually a little bit more than 50% from last year, which is great. And I think it shows that people are more apt to order if it is convenient. So I think our online ordering system was a really big hit, and that's something we would like to continue doing in the future. With the speaking contest, so the contest was held January 5th at the Trempealeau County Courthouse, and for the elementary division, our first place was Katie Buttman, and her topic was Erosion Got Big. Second place was Delilah Solberg, and her speech was on migratory birds. The ball is in our court. Third place is Ellie Thompson with Wisconsin Lakes and Climate Change, a steamy relationship. Fourth place is Peyton Wagner with water pollution. And fifth place is Annalyn Buss with invasive plant species. And all of those students, they were from Ettrick Elementary. For junior division, we had no participants. Senior division, first place was Charlie Thompson from Osseo Fairchild, and his speech was Runoff's Impact on Soil Health and Agricultural Productivity. And you can rewatch these first place winners, their speeches on WTCO TV. And the first place winners are going and competing in state. So state again is on March 1st through 3rd, so they'll be presenting at our annual conference. So for the poster contest results, we had a total of 86 posters, and the first place division will move on to regionals. So for first place for grades K through 1, it was Kennedy Gunther. Grades 2 to 3 was Addie Olson. Grades 4 to 6, first place was Kaylin Smith. Grades 7 through 9, first place is Mariana Sealer. And the posters are on the DLM website, and are also they're on our Facebook page. And the original posters are on display in the courthouse hallway as you're leaving out. We are also very busy with designing our projects for 2023 construction, as well as busy with reporting for our annual reports. And I'm not sure if you guys received the 2023 annual work plan. I know Verge did send that out. I don't know if you guys have that in front of you or not. But, so this is actually, this 2023 annual work plan, this is our DADCAP version of what we have been sharing with you all within this past year for 2022. So this lists all of our goals and objectives that we would like to accomplish in 2023. And these are all goals that we can easily achieve. So if you have time, you can look through that. I know Dawn wanted to see that during the last meeting, so if you have any questions, you can always ask me, so.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you providing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Charmaine, our conservationist? Hearing none?
I just got a quick
Randy?
comment. I think too,
Yeah.
with getting the tree and shrub information out to the public helped a lot too. I had quite a few people ask me, they thought it was a new thing.
Yeah, it's very good.
They were
So-
surprised that it was a long-standing program there. They never heard of it.
Well, I think a couple of things marketing-wise. This past fall was the second mailing of the newsletter that we went out to all property owners. So getting that out every year is really an effective tool just for marketing what we do. And then we've also had an increase in Facebook followers. I think I can't even remember off the top of my head, I think maybe we increased by at least 25% since middle fall, since the newsletter went out. So we're getting more followers that way too, so.
Good. No, that's very good. Pretty excited about the online ordering. It worked awesome, so.
Yeah, I also want to mention too that Haley, our engineering specialist, she will be presenting the online ordering for tree and shrub at our annual conference as well. So she will be tag teaming with other county conservationists, and that's one of the sessions you can listen to. So it's great to have her there.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, thank you. And we will move into a review of the UDC ordinance and discussion. And so Mike has put together, and the team, I should say, have put together some options, things for us to consider. Beyond that too, whatever we do with the UDC will impact all the villages and townships within the county, with the exception of Arcadia, no, Blair. Blair, excuse me. And so, whatever we would recommend, thought process would be to send it out for feedback from all of those municipalities as well. So, has everyone had a chance to look at some of the options Mike has, provided in our packet?
Yes, I did. I thank you, Mike, for doing that. That did help me wrap my head kind of around things a little bit. I think that I had heard in previous discussions that there were quite a few folks who didn't really want to go do away with the inspections of the well, what's considered garages right now, but I think that we're looking to consider, what terminology was it that you had
Unattached.
come up with?
Accessory structures?
Yes, accessory structures. So in light of that, I was thinking that probably it would make the most sense to consider the option where we really define what those accessory buildings are. But those are just my thoughts, looking for others.
Other thoughts? So you'd be potentially looking at, from our packet, it'd be option 5.
Yes.
Okay, which, no changes except for permitting and inspecting accessory buildings. New accessory buildings would be inspected with any of the following criteria being met: over 600 square feet in area, framed walls over 8 feet in height, and or including plumbing or electric. Other thoughts and considerations from the committee?
I also agreed. I thought number 5 was the best option. I'm just wondering, I know some of our discussions we got into, you know, how we're choosing like the square footage, and then I think B and C are pretty clear cut as far as 8 feet high and plumbing and electric, but the 600 square foot, is that kind of like a common size for accessory?
I gotta remember, I gotta do the math. I think that's close to, or 24 by 24.
I think that would be pretty close.
24 by 24 is 576. So if you want to get a specific number, you could change that to 576 for 24 by 24.
So if you built a 24 by 24, you'd be under the 600, but if the frame walls are over 8 feet, you're still needing, which many would be, potentially. So, other thoughts?
I understand where the ladies are coming from. I'm inclined to try to move it back to less inspection yet. Now, only state standards, that's a little too far away. Removing garage and accessory structures would be a step, another step in the right direction, in my opinion. That'd be the, to go to only single and two-family homes and additions leaves a lot of open area that could use supervision. I'd be inclined to leave garages and accessories out, as I guess it'd be what, a land use permit only and nothing else. Is that the way that would work?
I believe so, right, Verge? Anything else? It would be pretty much the zoning, the land use permit for the area, provided.
Any building require, any over 150 square feet requires a
Right.
Yeah.
Permit.
permit.
But it has to be at least 150 square
150,
feet, or over 150
So-
square feet.
Okay.
I kind of
Susan?
agree with the number 5. It seems like, you know, a direction to go.
Okay. Other thoughts from other committee members? Excuse me. Any?
Another question, just kind of based on some of our previous discussions, or like Dave's talking about with that. I know you mentioned like the plumbing or electric, where, you know, we have situations where people put something up, maybe they have the appropriate permit, and then they install this stuff later. But I mean, the reason behind number 5, is that mainly to be catching this stuff at a more reasonable time?
I think that would be the top part of the thought process.
I think the thought process there is a little bit more of, you know, each A, B, and C it's a larger, either a larger structure, or there's, you know, one of the things we heard from our inspector is where he sees issues is larger walls where the plywood sheeting wasn't staggered, where the what's the word I'm looking for? The seams weren't overlapped, staggered. And then the plumbing part is I guess it's all these things are when there's potential for more issues. If you have an accessory structure with all plumbing, there's just not as much going on, or accessory structure without electric.
Okay. Go ahead, Mark.
I just want to make it clear that, I mean, we've always inspected detached garages and we call them detached garage. I don't know if the accessory building is getting blurred with a detached garage, but we've never inspected machine sheds that was an accessory to somebody's, homestead or a barn or whatnot. Hopefully it doesn't
Go to that.
confuse somebody that we're gonna have to start inspecting those things, because we never have before. And
That's
if
a-
we want to get less, we don't want to be adding those to the inspection.
That is a fair
So-
statement as far as I'm concerned, because that does become a question, if we go build a pole shed on the farm, or anyone does, by this,
Yeah, you don't build too many machine sheds that are 600 square
well,
feet.
yeah, or the over 8 feet or under, yeah, I mean, there's two.
As long as it stays the
Hell, and
status quo
electric.
with that, I mean, I think it might confuse some people on
What's an
what an
accessory
accessory
building?
building really is, I guess, versus a machine shed.
And
versus
That's a
this.
good
And
point.
it's a good point by Mark, and I think this all gets back to this whole thing. What's a garage and what's an accessory building? We do not, it's very difficult to figure out how to apply the definition of a garage. And just saying if it has a overhead garage door, there's nothing in the code that lists that as the definition of a garage. So in ordinance work, some of the more difficult things to write is the definition of something. What is an accessory building and those kinds of things. So one of the things we, part of this is, again, requires more discussion from you guys is we need a good definition on what we want to inspect. And it's really hard to split accessory buildings and garages. I mean, I guess you could, but it would have to be a really specific definition to make it clear and fair to everybody.
Trying to figure out if you could do a square foot requirement, like, between these, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how you define it, because when do you cross from garage to,
Right. What's
Yeah.
a machine shed?
yeah.
What's the difference between a machine shed and a garage? I would argue, someone can just say, hey, well, I put a tractor in there. Well,
It was just approved in the town of Unity, or I should say built. It's a llama shed that ain't even 600 square feet, I believe. But I mean, yeah, it was on, I don't know if that's zoned commercial yet or not. A business is being run out of that site, but yeah, they had a building there for some animals for therapy. It'll be interesting to see how,
Something different every day, I guess.
yes. Correct, that's what I mean, but I mean, so that's what the definition of this has got to be,
Consistent.
yes.
Yeah, and that is gonna be, I can see, the more we think about it, like, wow, this
it's not easy.
oof,
No.
this is a,
Yeah. I agree, you guys. More, when I came into this conversation initially, I kind of feel like less is more as far as being a burden to taxpayers, and, meeting requirements, of course, is one thing, but exceeding requirements is another. I wonder, given that difficulty, if it isn't more appropriate to go toward what Dave, Supervisor Larson was suggesting, where we are closer to being in line with the requirements, but we eliminate, I think, a lot of that muddy water. But I was wondering also, is Mr. Niemeyer still there?
Yes.
Is there any legal definition that you're aware of that would help us in the terminology surrounding garage versus accessory building, et cetera?
There may be court cases out there that may have addressed those definitions in particular opinions. Certainly, it's something I can take a look at and provide any feedback on. But there may be some out there that help give definitions for those terms.
good thought too.
Would there be, you guys, a question for you, I know I've mentioned this before, but the cubic square feet, can't we do something like that with the commercial Wisconsin does? They do anything over this many cubic square feet, so, if you have a 10 by 10 shed, if it's over 8 feet, you get inspected, right? That's how I understand it, if it's over 8 feet, but cubic square feet, it depends on how big the inside of the building is, so it's cut and dry. If it's this size, if you're over this much cubic square feet, you get inspected.
That's a thought too.
The other thing I'm questioning, as I understand it, the state has now defined permit and inspection of all ag buildings,
Well, the electrical.
just the electrical? That was not my understanding from another source, that's why I was, so they're only calling for it if there's electrical in the building, not for the construction.
I think I sent you that email from Adam Pollard.
Yep.
And that was in there, that commercial and agricultural, and they have to inspect the electrical.
So, does the state, and I don't remember from that, did the state have a size? Or is a 20 by 30, if it's got electrical, is now the state gonna say that needs state permitting, and it's, where do they cut off on the bottom side of that? I don't have the information.
Well, it's state inspected, so
Well,
I don't know that
So
they necessarily have a
it's
size.
state inspected, maybe. I haven't seen one yet. Where the state sent somebody out to inspect one. It's just a matter of the state collecting some more fees.
Mark?
I guess on the cubic feet thing, I'm not all that familiar with it, but what I've seen of that's where you need state-approved plans. There's a tipping point of a state-approved plan, versus just I think they all need to be commercially inspected, but that a state-approved plan is above and beyond. I think it's 25,000 cubic feet or something like that.
That is correct.
I think the more you assign a cubic feet and a square footage, there's always someone that's, it's gonna be 600 square feet. Well, then they start building it, all of a sudden, what the heck, let's just make it a little bit bigger. And I think it's easier to be cut and dry of either yes or no, I guess, that's my opinion.
Take the game away from
So-
it, yeah.
That's my
Well, I know,
2 cents on
if it's
that.
under 25,000 square feet, you do not need to be inspected. You do not need to be inspected. I just built 5 years ago, I built a car wash, and the state did not have to inspect me.
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, he's had the experience with it. He knows more than anybody.
Right.
So.
So,
Okay. Go ahead.
When we see accessory buildings, is there like a more common use for them that we're seeing, or is it kind of all over the board?
Well, it's a pretty broad definition. It could be a garden shed, it could be a, garage you park your cars in, it could be a pole barn, it could be, usually accessory structure is, some kind of storage building that's an accessory use to a dwelling. So it's a range of uses that's typically storage related.
one other thing, just looking at it, if we were to consider number 4, I think the word detached needs to be in there, or it could get muddy at.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, any other thoughts from the committee, or direction to, Rick, it looks like you have comment.
Just a quick question, after Supervisor Waldera made a comment, does the committee want me to do some research on the definitions of anything and bring it back, or not? I want to make sure if there is something that you want, I can certainly provide it next time. I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, it's probably a decent idea, and yet depends on what if are we leaning a direction, or would we like that information before we lean a direction and then send it out for feedback from our municipalities?
I like that idea. It makes it a little more clear.
I'm sorry, I didn't, and then I interrupted because I didn't know you were speaking, and then I didn't hear you, Stacy. Can you say that again?
Oh, I just said, I like the idea. It makes it a little more clear, or potentially more clear. Yep.
Yeah, I do think that to give everything just consideration, we probably really should consider the legal definitions before we make a final decision.
Maybe it'll provide clarity for us. Maybe it'll muddy it even more. Who knows?
More likely the legal system will muddy it more. Right. And just so I know too, are there specific terms that you're looking for, just so I know I answer all the questions?
I think they were looking detached garage, accessory structure.
I wonder if you add pole sheds to that too, to see where, if it falls into this at all.
Where's the clarification of
Right.
building versus?
Not to look at just one side of it, but to be broad. Mark's eyes are getting big. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I've looked up some definitions that other counties have, and good luck finding a better definition, but
Well-
I've seen one that it starts with two sides, which, why would anybody want just a two-sided building?
Right,
And then
exactly.
they have some that are defined by either 2 stalls or up to 4 stalls. That's pretty much all I could find in other counties, and,
And I'll just do a research of the
and I
case law.
guess,
see
yeah,
if there's
maybe
anything out
someone
there,
sued
so-
somebody over what was what, and then they might have something to fall
Sure.
back, but the definitions I found weren't all that great,
Sure.
They all started out with 2 sides, they have to have at least 2 sides, well, I guess it's gotta stand up, I
funny.
guess.
Right.
But then, and then they're talking between either 2 or 4 stalls, so if you got something greater than 4, maybe it wasn't considered a garage or
Sure.
detached, but
Okay.
that's.
Mr. Niemeyer, maybe
Yes.
maybe in lieu of even a legal definition, if you can find one, that's great, but if there is anywhere that you can find any degree of consistency in a description, I think would be even helpful, because it seems like, I don't know that you will, because it does sound like it's all over the place, but if there is any consistency in a research that you see where maybe it's not a legal definition, but most places tend to define it as such, that might be helpful. Also, I'm wondering, will this need to go in front of the full board once a decision is made?
Would it, does the ordinance change?
Yeah.
I think they would. I
Ordinance
think
changes go
all-
in front of the-
so
for the zoning.
It would, it's probably down the road a little bit here based on our discussions today.
Yes, but I think in that regard, having all of our information thoroughly researched, I think we need to do that anyway, but when it would go before the board, and be open for public discussion, I think that it's gonna be important to have the definitions and some of these questions answered in that case.
Sure. So, okay. I think we have a direction for the time
Send me
being.
what they have, just so I can, it'll give me some
So-
point of,
Yeah.
okay.
Everyone
perfect. Thank you.
comfortable, we'll continue this discussion in March on the 8th. Hopefully with some definitions. We'll see.
If I can maybe add another half thought I have here, that we need to go back and consider, what is our purpose here? What are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to achieve life and safety for families? Or are we attempting to protect a buyer from making a mistake? And I don't think that part of it is our duty.
Fair comment. So, Ferg, you have your mic on. Do you?
Oh.
Oh, inadvertent? Okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't missing somebody. So, okay, I think at that point, this point, we will move forward and talk about it more in March. So, good discussion. So, next thing we have our 2023 contract for surveyor services. Discussion, possible action.
The contract, well, maybe Rick wants to, did you, okay. The contract in your packet had some minor language changes. The wage rate for the professional land surveyor category went up $5 per hour to address the insurance requirement things. So those are the main changes. Joe's good with it. He's signed the contract, so if the committee is good with the contract and would like to approve it, it can be signed off today.
He obviously has met the insurance requirements then. Yeah, that's perfect.
I just have one question reading it here, that under compensation for any field work performed and then the hourly rates. Is field work can include the office time? or
No.
is- Okay,
No.
where does it tell us how that pays?
Well, let's see, any field work? Well, I guess, maybe Rick's the attorney here.
I don't have the agreement in front of me.
You want-
So that gives the hourly rate for the different services that he's providing. Anything outside of those particular listed services, thank you very much, would be incorporated in the hourly rate. So if he does have office time, that would be incorporated in the time that he is doing
So
that.
if, the professional land surveyor, $84 per hour.
Correct.
And that means, even though it says field work, that means sitting in the office is $84 an hour too. Is that?
That would be included in that as well,
Okay,
correct. Yep.
okay,
Mhm. Yep. Mhm.
The term field work threw me on that a little
Sure.
bit.
And it's my understanding that, we are contracting with a company, and so technically speaking, him coming to the courthouse would be considered field work from his office, so that would be included in there as well. Yep. Mhm.
Could you speak to whether or not with this price increase that has been factored into our 2023 budget already, or will this then exceed any budgeted plans for this work?
The office, time in the office is definitely covered. Where we can make adjustments regarding the budget is the amount of monumentation maintenance work. That's where we project out what that cost is going to be and adjust the amount of work we do in that area. So we'll be fine budget-wise.
Happy to make a motion to approve unless there's
Okay.
further discussion.
We have a motion to approve, second by Klein. Any other discussion? Questions? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor of approving the surveyor's contract, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So we have a new surveyor contract. And so next item up for discussion is our DLM Director Operations Report.
I want to let everyone know, we've filled the fiscal coordinator position with a internal hire within the courthouse. Ashley Brecky will be starting Friday. And then over the course of the first week, 2 hours a day, she'll be continuing to work with the ADRC to help with the transition, to help things out on their end. I met with the Town of Gale town chair, and he communicated the town's desire to update their zoning map, and so we're going to be starting on that process, going off of the work that previous staff have done. It's been a couple of years since that work was done, so we have to go through and check that work and see if the recommendations still apply. This time of year, we're doing a lot of reporting and stuff on our grants, applying for grants for next year, those kinds of things. So we're doing a lot of that work. And let's see, I think Dawn's on both committees. You may remember the FEMA lots down in the village of Trempealeau. PTED had been working on some park-related activities down there. We did receive information from the village that nature preserve and that kind of things is a permitted use in the floodway down there, although it kind of contradicts with their 8-inch grass limit thing. So we're going to try to get some more clarification so we can take a look at doing some pocket prairies on those lots down there. And then we're also on kind of more of a recreational side, going to reach out to the refuge and see if there's any related public access things we can add. There's 3 lots that border the refuge. So we're going to see what opportunities we could do to partner with them. So on the Prairie side, that's a little bit more the ELU side, but then when you get into using those lots a little bit for recreation and access to lakes and rivers, that's maybe a little bit more the PTED side. So as far as which committee deals with some of these things, you know, it's kind of going back and forth. We'll just try to keep both committees informed, but it looks like we have, we'll want to get some kind of written communication from the village that they're okay with prairie grasses over 8 inches. Just want to make sure they're good with that, and we'll keep everyone informed on where things are going there, so.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions for Mike from anyone? Seeing none. Any future agenda items that the committee would like to see addressed, talked about, looked into?
Is the solar committee, is that they reporting soon?
We are, yeah, that is an excellent question, and yes, we will be bringing soon, potentially March. We had a couple developments recently.
Right, we're gonna probably go over the report one more time. We want to make sure we're thorough on that and talk about a couple, one more issue. So we gotta get that worked out. Hopefully we'll have that report for March.
Yeah, I think we meet next Monday again. Maybe less, maybe not.
Yeah, well, we got to get that figured out.
So we're working through it, and we are getting close. So it is time to bring that forward, and hopefully we can have that for our March meeting. So, anything else from the committee? If not, our next regular meeting date will be March 8th, as the rest of the staff will be at the conference on the 1st through the 3rd, I think it is.
And we'll have Verge will reach out to the clerk, can reach out to the clerk's office and make sure the
Confirm,
calendar
sure.
gets updated, because that's
Not
sometimes
normal.
we get,
Okay. She's on it.
okay, so,
So,
all right.
excellent. So we will plan on being here March 8th at 8:30 again. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting at 9:28. Thank you all.